next.
Podcasts and people on the internet saying, talking about 50-50 relationships, and what each partner can bring to the table. I have a certain dynamic growing up because my father and my mom didn't want to work. She didn't have to. But I understand in this economy, women can't just stay home.
Now on Shape. As a photographer, I've seen women wish they could change themselves, covering what they thought was imperfect, hiding what was always beautiful. So I created the Shape campaign to help women everywhere, from all walks of life, to find their light through a journey of transformation. With first a photo shoot to see themselves through a new lens, and then a conversation to share their story with the world. This is a celebration of not only beauty, but of every shape, every color, every story, and every soul. I am Raquez Rouse, and this is the Shape campaign.
Thank you for joining me. I'm Raquez Rouse, the host and creator of the Shape campaign. Today I have with me Shyra Thomas. I want to thank you again for being a part of the Shape campaign, season 4. I have enjoyed your story. I have enjoyed the experience that I have had with you. Now I want you to tell me, what has this experience been like for you?
Yes. It's been really fun. It's been different and also challenging for myself to do something outside of my comfort zone. So I'm really happy to be here and everything's going great.
Excellent. Well, we're going to kick off season 4, right? Okay. We're going to kick it off with a challenge. All right. You ready?
Sure.
So this is an icebreaker challenge that I have, and it's called Beauty Under Pressure. Beauty Under Pressure, right? A little backstory to this before I explain the instructions. So, you know that saying that says beauty or pressure, what is it? Pressure makes diamonds, right?
Okay.
So that's where the concept comes from. So it's to see how well you as a beautiful woman will handle the pressure of these questions that I'm going to ask you. All right.
Okay.
So the instructions, Beauty Under Pressure. You will have 5 minutes to do a full face of makeup using the products in front of you. Eyeshadow, blush, lipstick, and mascara. But here's the twist. You'll have to keep applying makeup while answering my questions. No pausing, no stopping. Mm-hmm. And when the timer runs out, you must drop every drop of makeup. All right. So, you ready?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to start our timer now. First question is, if your life was a sitcom, what would be your theme song?
Ooh, I'm actually really bad at this.
Timer's ticking. You better get one more.
I don't know.
All right, we'll come back to that one. What's your favorite beauty hack or secret?
Moisture, Vaseline, baby oil.
Okay. What is one of your strongest childhood memories? Come on, you got to multitask. You got mascara, you got eyeshadow, you got to do a full face. I'll ask it again. What is one of your strongest childhood memories?
Being a leader.
Okay. Any instance that you want to tell me of a particular time that you were a leader?
Making sure all my siblings ate before my parents got home.
How many siblings do you have?
4.
Oh, well, okay. All girls, mix of boys
and
everybody.
Girls.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. And okay, next question. When was the last time you cried and why?
Recently.
You got eyeshadow brush right there too.
Okay.
Don't forget to use eyeshadow brush.
I cried out of frustration just because I like to be able to solve problems. If I can't solve a problem, it makes me frustrated. So I cried about it.
Okay. Any specific? I want specifics.
No, not at the moment.
And one of my producers are gonna turn that light on for you on the mirror because I can tell you're struggling with being able to see. So we're gonna get that light on. You got it. There you go. There we go. Okay. So You said you cried when you were frustrated. Okay, does this moment make you want to cry? Because this is like kind of pressury, frustration. No? Okay, cool. All right, next question. What is one of your biggest life lessons or regrets?
One of my life lessons is that if you are going through something, it's your obligation to get yourself out of it. People aren't always going to be around to help you when you need it.
Okay, now I have a question for you.
Yes.
Now your makeup you're applying, and you're doing pretty swell, but I don't see much of it. So I need you to really pack it on. Like you gotta, this is like a full face, right? All right, we're gonna jump back to our previous question. If your life was a sitcom, what would be your theme song? I want you to think about this. It could be any song that's your favorite. You're sticking.
I don't have one.
You don't have a favorite song?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. If you had a time machine, would you go back in time to change or relive a moment? Or would you travel to the future to see what's ahead?
I would travel back in time.
To what time?
Early 20s, maybe 21.
Why?
Just to redo my life a little bit different. So
I thought when you said early 20s, I thought you meant like the 1920s for some reason. Okay, early 20s. Okay, any specific moment where you would have wanted to change? Any specific like thing that you felt like would have changed the trajectory of your life now? Where we at on time?
I'm not sure.
Got 2 more minutes. You're not sure?
No.
You're not even gonna try?
No, my brain scatters.
Okay. Final question. What does the acronym SHAPE stand for?
Simply human advocating positivity everywhere.
Okay. Look, you are the first. Oh, listen. You win for me. You win for me. We're gonna stop our timer right here. Boom. All right, drop it. Let's see what you got. Okay. So we're gonna take a look. I see a little eyeshadow. I don't see any. You use a lipstick.
I put a little bit, something on.
That's cheating.
Oh,
You supposed to go all out. You supposed to go all out. All right.
I didn't have lashes. I would have went all out with some lashes.
Mascara.
Okay. Yeah.
No blush.
I tried.
All right. Well, we're gonna let you get cleaned up, and then we'll be right back.
Hey, it's your guy Quest here. I want to thank you so much for tuning in to the Shape Campaign podcast. And as a quick reminder, please be sure to check out all of our exclusive interviews from the rest of our Shapecast, as well as the promotional rollout at raquezrouse.com. And for more exclusive behind the scenes stuff that you may have not gotten to see, at my Instagram handle at mr.raquezrouse. That's Mr. Raquez Rouse. Now back to the show.
All right, so we're back with the Shape Campaign. I am your host, Raquez Rouse. Thank you for joining us. I'm here with Shyra. You prefer Shy or Shyra?
Shy.
I'm here with Shy Thomas.
Yes.
So before we went on break, we had the icebreaker challenge that you didn't know I was going to throw at you. And it's cool. It's cool. But I want to commend you for your participation and trying it out. You know, I'm always trying to just to keep things fresh and mix it up a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. So before we get started with talking about your experience with the Shape campaign in particular, I want to talk about your life and your history. I understand you're from Missouri, St. Louis?
Yes, that's where I was born.
Okay, and talk about that. What was your life like for you growing up?
I stayed there during my childhood years, up until I was 8 years old. I just remember it being a lot of family, a lot of fun, birthday parties and hanging out with, aunts, uncles, cousins, a lot of food, games. I had a really great experience, growing up in my childhood, and I love my family.
You told us during the break before the break, during the icebreaker, you had a group with 3 other siblings. Was it 4 other siblings or 3 other?
4.
So you're the 5th child?
Yes, I'm second oldest.
Second oldest. What was that like growing up with 4 other siblings?
It was fun. Again, I always felt like I was the leader, making sure everyone was taken care of, helping my parents out whenever they needed it. It still kind of feels that way now, even though I'm not the first. oldest. I'm the second oldest, but I feel like the first.
Do you ever feel that your parents put responsibility on you that you weren't necessarily ready for?
Of course. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anything in particular?
We moved around a lot growing up. So always new schools, new environments, new people. I always like to check with my siblings to make sure they're okay, you know, processing and getting through their new school and all those things. But yes.
Mm-hmm. And I understand that you actually moved around a lot. So you started out in St. Louis where you were born. And then at some point you moved to California, Florida, Texas, Tennessee, and now North Carolina. So
yes.
What type of timeline was that all in?
This is all, you know, up until high school. The last place we were at was California, but those in-between states, you know, we were there for a few years here, a few years there, or months, and we're in a new location.
Were you military military brat?
No, not at all.
Okay. Now with that transition, right? Because I know you have 4 other siblings, but was it easy for you to make friends? You have friends from your childhood that you actually keep up with?
Yeah, I would say it was easy for me to make friends because once I realized we weren't going to be in a place for a long time, I just got used to the new hustle and bustle. So I'll call myself, you know, a little iguana. I just adapted to whatever surroundings I was in. But it was fun. I still stay in contact with some people from my elementary, middle school, high school. It's kind of scattered, you know, but we stay in contact, people that we're close with.
And I'm curious, out of those 5 states, what was your favorite?
Tennessee, great memories. California, my hometown, of course, Missouri. That's pretty much it.
Okay, gotcha. I understand that your father passed away when you were 10 years old. Talk about that. How that dynamic changed your family dynamic as well, because you went from 2-parent household and you were kind of like just helping out where you could to now one parent is no longer even present. How did that change the dynamic?
I was younger when it happened, so I don't know, like it really didn't really sink in until I was in my teen years. You know, not having my father around. But you know, my mom's great. She's always been there. She still is around. I do have a stepdad, which he's also a great guy. Took us in as his own children, and my parents, they have children together. So
let me break it down a little bit. So your stepdad came into the picture after your dad passed away. You were 10 when your biological father passed away, correct? So at one point were you helping with your brothers and your siblings? Was it after your father passed or before?
After.
So after is when you had to step up.
Yes.
To kind of pull your weight more. Okay, got you. So with that transition, you were young. Did you immediately adhere to your stepfather? Were you all like immediately like getting along and things like that? Or was it an adjustment for you?
It was definitely, it was an adjustment because I was younger. I didn't know what was going on until it was explained to me, and you know, things became normal after a while.
And what happened with your father?
Like what caused him to pass away? He had a brain aneurysm. Yes.
What's your relationship with your mom like?
Besties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Is she back in Missouri or is she?
Well, no, she's not living there now. We do have a family house there, so we meet every so often. They live in California, my parents, but they'll be moving to North Carolina soon, so I'm excited about that.
You have a family house in Missouri, but they live in Cali, and they're moving to North Carolina.
Yes.
Nice. That's excellent. I understand that you are is it a veterinarian or you are a overseer of veterinarians? You're in that industry. Talk about that.
Do work with animals. I have worked in veterinary hospital. Right now I help run a kennel in Chapel Hill. It's a doggy daycare, facility, and it's such a blast. I love my coworkers.
And I'm interested to know what got you into that career field. Was that like always something you had saw for yourself, a dream of yours, or was it something that kind of found you? It
found me. I was a kennel technician at first, and growing up, we had pets, cats and dogs, guinea pigs, hamsters, you name it. So I'm not scared of animals. So I started working with dogs and then just kind of worked my way up in my line of work up until management. So everybody always calls me when they have a problem. So.
And I'm noticing a trend because we're going to get into this some more because I know you told my producers that you sometimes feel like you're the one that has to be I don't want to say the healer, but the person that is always there to rescue other people.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to get into that.
Okay.
So talk about your relationship with your siblings. What are they like? Are you all close?
Yes and no. Just because, we moved around a lot. We try to stay, in communication throughout the move. We're older now, so my brother lives over here, my sister lives over there, and my other brother, like everybody's scattered right now. So our relationship could be closer, but when we're in the same household, like I can feel the love, I can feel the bond. But since, there's so much distance apart from us, we don't really get to hang out and keep in touch as much as we should.
Now, I wonder if you were closer with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that you'd be closer? Other than just obviously the distance, but would you have a deeper relationship with your siblings?
Yeah, I feel so. Each sibling, I have an older brother, we're pretty cool, and I have a younger sister. We're still working on our relationship, but it's becoming better over time now that she's older and she understands the world and what's going on. And then my younger brothers, which they're not really younger because they're over 18, but they're younger. We have a pretty good relationship. So
now I want to dig a little deeper into what is the title of your job? Because I know you say you've worked in veterinary hospitals, but what exactly do you do? Give me the rundown of what you do. I'm
a facility kennel manager.
What does that mean?
Basically someone who oversees the kennel, down from, front desk customer service to getting your hands dirty down there with the dogs, for boarding and daycare, overnight stays and grooming services. So that's what I do for work.
What kind of challenges present themselves with that dynamic? Because I don't know much about that industry, but I know people love their dogs, their pets.
Oh, yes.
And people don't play about them.
Yes. I have a baby myself.
And you have a baby yourself. So tell me about what challenges have you encountered? I know that when we talked before, you mentioned there were some issues where some animals would get sick or things like that, and then be kind of emotional. Talk about that.
Yes. So the type of challenges, my job's pretty fun. It's pretty easy for the most part, but animals, they're just like humans. They may have needs and conditions that are going on. We take senior dogs. They may need medications. Since the dogs go outside into play group, there's always a possibility there could be an injury. Dogs have a mind of their own if they don't necessarily like another dog. The customers are great. We have pretty good clients, for the most part. We don't have any issues there, except like if there is an incident, then we'll discuss it with our customers, but we're pretty transparent about people's pets.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, when we come back from the break, we're going to talk about some of these relationship patterns that you have had and this healer mentality. So when we get back, we'll talk about that. We'll be right back. People ask me all the time, Raquez, what is the SHAPE campaign? What is SHAPE? And to me, SHAPE is an acronym. It represents simply human advocating positivity everywhere. I started SHAPE to celebrate the beauty of women, their profundity, their excellence, and to hear their stories. Oftentimes we see a beautiful face, but we don't know the story behind the person. So I want you to come along with me on this journey to learn about these beautiful women. These women that have gone through pain and turned it into passion and now into power. Feel free to comment, like, and subscribe, and follow me on all of my social media at mr.raquezrouse. We'll see you later. All right, we're back with Shy Thomas at the SHAPE campaign season 4. I want to shift gears a bit and talk about this relationship pattern of a healer mentality. I understand that you are or were engaged for 2 years.
Yes.
Talk about that. What was that? What was that relationship like? And I understand that there was some type of change where you were having second thoughts about it.
Yes. My relationship with my partner, we were engaged for 2 years. but we dated for 7. Towards the end of the engagement, like, there was just a lot of thoughts as far as like if I was sure, security purposes, emotionally and futuristic, finances, if it was a smart move to move forward.
When you say security, finances, things like that, anything specific that you were concerned about that made you recant your thought of getting married to your partner?
Yes, I would say, as far as like leadership, and me feeling like I was masculine all the time, it just became a burden. So that's also a reason why I made the decision that I did to end the engagement. Just felt like a lot of pressure.
Now, you ended the engagement recently?
Yes.
How long ago?
Last year.
Last year. Okay. So, all right. So that is something that I noticed too, because when at the beginning of our conversation, you mentioned that you were like the one that had to step up for your siblings and for your parents. Your father had passed away and you had to step up. And then fast forward to your relationship with your now ex, you felt like you had to be like the masculine, the leader. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Did you ever express that to your partner? And then if you did, what was the response?
Yes, I did express that to my partner. I also mentioned that if we should get some therapy because maybe we're talking to each other but not understanding what each other means. Because sometimes that can happen in communication, especially, you feel a certain type of way. You can talk to a person, but it doesn't mean they're going to understand or know where you're coming from.
Right. So was it met with, let's work on it? You offered therapy. So was it met with, okay, let's do therapy?
No, we didn't do therapy. So that was just, for me, I didn't feel like I should have been the one to get help for our relationship because I've been doing enough. So if the therapy didn't happen, then I just felt like it was time to separate the relationship.
Now, there was something where you said you don't believe in 50-50, and you felt like you were giving more than what you were receiving. What does that mean?
I just hear a lot of podcasts and people on the internet talking about 50-50 relationships, and what each partner can bring to the table. I have a certain dynamic growing up because my father, if my mom didn't want to work, she didn't have to. But I understand in this economy, women can't just stay home. You need both incomes to make things work. But just the effort of trying, if you were working and that job wasn't necessarily working for you or our household dynamics, then you should go and find extra help to make sure we can sustain and get the things that we want.
So it sounds like what you're saying is that you believe in a more traditional type of relationship dynamic between a man and a woman. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, I'm not saying, I wouldn't work because I'm a working woman, so I'm always going to work. I've worked since I was 15, so I'm not saying I'm looking for a handout or anything like that. I just have goals, and I just expect my partner to understand my goals and our goals and do our best to try to make those things happen in a certain time frame, of course.
Now, in regards to, let's stay on that for a little bit because that's interesting because I've heard, and obviously my dynamic and my understanding is a little different because I'm not in a heterosexual mental world, obviously. Well, it's a world, but that's not my life. That's not my experience. So your experience is a little different than mine in that regards as far as what your expectations are. So when you meet a man or when you met your partner, for example, was that a conversation at first, or was it something that you realized, hey, this guy doesn't believe what I believe, so now we have to do therapy? How do you talk about that? What's the right way to talk about that?
It wasn't talked about at first. I feel like we did a lot of things backwards as far as our relationship. There could have been some things that could have been out of the way in the beginning, so we made sure we were on the same track. And then, I don't know, just things happen and things change. So.
things change. What kind of things? What do you mean by that?
You know, like when you're trying with someone and then you just know that you're both not trying anymore. So what's the point?
You know, and that's interesting that you say that, because I feel like there comes a comfort, almost like a comfort zone. Mm-hmm. And then when the person gets what they want, or what they perceive they got what they want, they don't feel like they have to work as hard for it. And I also think it happens sometimes when people choose to live together early on, because you're like, well, if I'm already getting all of the benefits without the commitment or without the proving myself in a way, like for a better word, then they can feel relaxed or chill about it. Is that what you felt like happened in your dynamic with your relationship?
Yes and no. Yeah, I was just say yes and no, but there are other like factors in between.
Other factors in between. Okay. So it's something maybe a deeper issue than just what we're saying on the surface. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. So are you dating now?
No. You're
not dating now. Are you just kind of burnt out, or are you just taking a break?
I'm not burnt out. I am just, seeing what my options are. I'm happy at the moment, anyone that catches my attention is very lucky.
I agree. Now, I do have a question. Are you the person to initiate, or are you the one that wants to be chased?
I like both.
Interesting. So with your previous relationship, were you the one that pursued, or you were the pursuee? A pursuer, rather.
I would say he chased, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Do you have like all these hoops that you put the person through, like do this, do that?
Not necessarily, okay. But they have to be attractive, of course. But I like to know like what's in their brain. Someone that's like down to earth and tell me what's going on.
When we talk about 50-50, right? 50-50. How much does money matter to you when it comes to how much money your partner makes? How important is that?
It's important. I would just say for me, I feel like that he couldn't make less than what I'm making. It's kind of like a masculine, feminine thing. So that's just how I feel about it. He has to make more than I do.
So the masculine is making more money. That's what masculinity represents to you?
A part of it to me, okay. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Got you. So I'm curious, what does femininity represent? What does that look like to you?
Being a woman, being able to be soft and not have to worry about things, knowing that your partner can be the leader and guide you in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. And now I'm curious, because I didn't hear you mention much about religion, but I'm curious to know, is religion a big thing in your life? Are you faith-based? What is your religion?
I'm spiritual.
Spiritual?
Yes.
How does that steer you when it comes to navigating through relationships? Do they have to have a form of spirituality? Can they be atheist? Can they be Muslim, Islam? What does that mean to you?
I would just say as long as they're, have some knowledge of religion, then I'm okay with whatever religion that they're in, because they're all pretty much the same. Everyone knows right from wrong, and they also can feel it.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, moving forward on a little bit here. So with the Shape campaign, right? You embarked upon this journey with me of what now? What is this? Spring, winter, fall, late fall, winter. What has this experience been like for you, the Shape campaign? Why did you choose to be a part of this campaign?
Well, just because I looked at the history behind it, and I just wanted to do something different, put myself out there, even if it makes me uncomfortable. So that's what I'm doing.
Were you uncomfortable during this experience?
A little bit, but I'm pushing through. And,
in which ways specifically?
I guess just opening up and trying.
Mm-hmm. What about the photo shoot, right? Because that was a fun day, but it was a day of work too. Makeup, hair, costume, all that stuff. What was that like for you?
It was different. I mean, I've done photo shoots before. I
They weren't a Shape campaign photo shoot, so don't say it like that. Like it was just it was just another day.
No. But this one was different. Like I've never had the scenery and setup and the type of environment and people there around. I had a good time and met some pretty awesome people during the session, so it was fun.
When you came into the Shape campaign, what was your expectation, and did it meet that? Did it exceed it, or did it go below that? Candidly.
I didn't have like a certain expectation. You know, I'm pretty free spirited, so I just kind of went in and went with the flow and see what happened. Mm-hmm.
So from start to finish, right? And you haven't seen the final product or anything, but I remember the day of the photo shoot for you specifically. You mentioned that you were in your head about your performance, and I had you go take a breather, and we came back and actually, I believe we reshot some of your frames again. Mm-hmm. Was that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you came back with a different oomph or confidence, because I think you were the first person of that day. And I just remember you saying you were in your head. Can you talk about and walk me through what those thoughts were in the moment of you being in front of the camera?
Everyone has those voices that you try to block out. And it was just like a little different for me because people were in different locations everywhere. So it's hard for me to focus. I have a short attention span. But I did it. So it was fun.
Those thoughts, those voices. What were some of those voices?
Just voices saying like, you don't know what you're doing. Like, why are you doing this? Like, you shouldn't be doing this. Those two voices.
Mm-hmm. So when you have those thoughts, because that's a real thing, I think a lot of us, when that's human, that can admit that have had those doubts, the inner critic is what I call it. And it's one of those things where in the moment you feel crazy sometimes. Because you're like, am I the only one feeling this way, or is everyone else thinking this about me too? So how do you talk yourself through those thoughts when they're so loud? And sometimes it can be debilitating because they'll almost put you in like a frozen state where you're not able to push forward because you're so in your head. How do you work yourself through those thoughts? I
usually have to take a break, just go for a walk and get some fresh air or something like that. If I'm home, I'll go to the gym or take a class. That's usually how I navigate when I have a flare up like that.
Flare up. And a lot of women, when they hear the Shape campaign, obviously you go to body image, you go to, how your size, things like that. Have you ever had any insecurities about your weight or your beauty or your exterior? Any pressures?
Yes. I've never been skinny. Like even as a kid, I always had some meat on me. So there was a point in time where I was a little overweight, and so I just decided that I just wanted to get myself together, and not be depressed, just make sure I was active and keep myself in shape. I'm not looking to be skinny by all means. I just want to make sure that I'm in good health and good shape.
Mm-hmm. And not to be depressed. So were you depressed about your weight, or was your weight a result of eating from depression?
Yeah, I would say like the depression caused the weight.
So what were you depressed about?
Everything, like being an anxious person. I'm working on that now, but I'm like really an anxious person. Sometimes I overthink about things, depending on the situation that I'm in.
I was telling my assistant today that that's something that I deal with, is overthinking and constantly being in my head and not feeling like it's ever good enough. Or there's the inner critic saying, nope, you could have did that differently. See, you're not as good as you think you are. See, you're always messing up. See, if you would have prepared better, you would have been this way. What would be your coping mechanism for just your own advice you would give to someone that deals with that anxiety?
Yeah, I would just say that take a moment and breathe. There's a lot of people in the world and planet. You're not the only person. Get yourself together. No one knows what you're really going through. You see a person on the street, you don't know if they have surgery or if they have a medical illness, and this person's alive and they're awake and they're functioning throughout the day. There's always somebody out there that's doing worse than you, and to appreciate life and all your ligaments that you have, and, you know, get yourself together and just do it.
Now, moving forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is the Shape campaign. We're wrapping it up, season 4. And this is an experience now that you have under your belt. But there are other people, other women specifically, that look at you. They'll see you. You're the face of this campaign, season 4. What would you tell those women that are embarking upon this journey, or those that are considering it, or maybe never considered it, but it may be good for them? How would you tell them to prepare themselves? What would you tell them to prepare for? Mentally, physically, whatever?
I would say for me, I don't know. I don't sometimes prepare for things. I just jump into it. Because if I prepare for it, I might overthink about it, and then we have a situation. But yeah, you know, you only live once, and, you know, why not try something different and put yourself out there? You never know who you can help or who you're going to communicate with out there on the platform.
That's real. That is real. And I want to commend you for jumping into it. I think sometimes, like you said, that is the best thing to do. Jump into it and find your way. Find your way. And if you jump, don't be afraid to fall, but just get back up. Because if you fall and get up, did you really fail? No, you just got back up and tried again. So,
yay, Aaliyah.
Come on, Aaliyah. I need to get some points for that. Absolutely. So when we come back, we'll close out. But thank you again, and we'll be right back. Be sure to join our YouTube family at The Shape Campaign. Comment, like, and subscribe. We'll see you later. Holla. All right, we are back with Shy Thomas. I'm Raquez, The Shape Campaign, season 4. A lot to say. So, Shy, again, I want to thank you for, I know I've been thanking you a lot, but thank you for being a part of this campaign. You have no idea how much it means to me for you to even extend your time and your energy and your attention to the Shape campaign. I think that the women that are a part of this from all the seasons, season 1, 2, 3, and now 4, there's a certain special oomph that they have to trust someone that they don't really know well. It takes a certain amount of tenacity to put yourself out there, to share your story, and to allow yourself to be a muse for others, but not in a way of like being objectified, but to be amused, to be admired, and to be revered. So I definitely highly have a lot of respect for you in that regard. And I just want everyone to remember that that inner critic in your mind sometimes is the only real voice. There's no reality to that. All of our thoughts are not always our thoughts. And if we push past the negative thoughts, we will uncover the beauty and the power within. So on that note, thank you again for joining us. We'll see you later. Think you've got what it takes to be featured on our next season of the Shape campaign? Well, submit your photo to raquezrouse.com. We'll see you later.
Shape. Stay tuned for our next episode.